In the quiet suburb of Brentwood, Pennsylvania, stands a stately house at 3406 Brownsville Road. Built in 1909, this craftsman-style home became the center of a chilling and prolonged paranormal ordeal that would haunt the Cranmer family for years. In December 1988, Bob and Lisa Cranmer, along with their 4 young children, moved into what they believed was their dream home. Bob had admired the house since childhood, often standing outside, imagining the life he would one day build within its walls. When the opportunity arose to purchase it, the family seized it, unaware of the dark presence that lurked within. Almost immediately, subtle disturbances began to unsettle the family. A pull chain in a closet would inexplicably wrap itself around the light fixture, no matter how many times it was straightened. Objects seemed to move on their own, and an unshakable feeling of being watched permeated the home. While these occurrences were unsettling, the Cranmers chose to dismiss them, attributing the incidents to the quirks of an old house. As years passed, the disturbances escalated. Unexplained footsteps echoed through the halls at night, shadowy figures appeared and vanished, and foul odors with no identifiable source would suddenly fill rooms. The family's relationships began to fray under the constant stress. Lisa and 2 of the children suffered severe mental health issues, leading to hospitalizations. The once warm and loving household was now shrouded in fear and tension. In 2003, the situation reached a breaking point. Bob's eldest son attacked him in a sudden fit of rage, leading to Bob's arrest. The following morning, Bob's elderly aunt, who had been living with the family, was found dead in her bed from natural causes. These traumatic events seemed to break a dam, unleashing a torrent of paranormal activity that could no longer be ignored. Desperate, and with nowhere else to turn, Bob reached out to the Catholic Church for assistance. Despite not being Catholic himself, he hoped that the Church's rituals could cleanse his home of the malevolent force tormenting his family. The Bishop of Pittsburgh assigned Father Ron Lenguin to the case, who, along with other clergy and a layperson named Connie Valenti, began the arduous process of exorcising the house. For 2 years, the team performed countless blessings, prayers, and exorcisms. The entity fought back viciously, manifesting physical attacks, manipulating the environment, and instilling a pervasive sense of dread. Paranormal researchers from Penn State University documented the phenomena, adding credibility to the family's harrowing experiences. The struggle to reclaim the house was relentless. Objects would levitate and be thrown across rooms. Walls oozed a mysterious blood-like substance. Family members were scratched and bruised by unseen forces. In a desperate bid to cleanse the home, the family turned to their faith, drawing strength from their unity and determination. They filled the house with religious artifacts, played hymns continuously, and recited prayers together daily. The once dark and oppressive atmosphere began to lighten, and the entity's attacks grew less frequent and less severe. By February 2006, after years of relentless spiritual warfare, the house was finally declared free of the demonic presence. The Cranmer family slowly rebuilt their lives, finding peace in their faith and resilience. Bob documented their ordeal in the book The Demon of Brownsville Road, sharing their story to warn others of the dangers that can lurk unseen and to offer hope that even the darkest forces can be overcome. Despite the family's victory over the entity, questions remain. What drew such a malevolent force to their home? Was it tied to the land's history, or did it feed off the family's vulnerabilities? The answers may never be known, but the story of the Demon of Brownsville Road serves as a chilling reminder of the unseen battles that may rage just beyond our perception. The Cranmer family's ordeal is a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable terror. Their story reminds us that while evil may exist, it can be confronted and defeated through faith, unity, and unwavering determination. As we delve deeper into such tales, we are compelled to reflect on the mysteries that surround us and the resilience required to face them head-on. In the quiet village of Partridge Green, West Sussex, tales of the supernatural have woven themselves into the fabric of local folklore. Among these stories, one stands out, a chilling account that has left residents questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. In the winter of 1992, a young couple, Sarah and James, eager to escape the bustle of city life, purchased a charming cottage on the outskirts of Partridge Green. The quaint home, with its ivy-covered walls and rustic charm, seemed like the perfect place to start their new life together. Unbeknownst to them, the cottage had a history that the locals spoke of only in hushed tones. Shortly after moving in, Sarah began to experience peculiar occurrences. At first, it was the subtle sound of footsteps in the attic, which James dismissed as the creaking of an old house settling. Then, objects started to disappear, only to reappear in odd places. The couple laughed these incidents off, attributing them to forgetfulness amidst the chaos of moving. However, the incidents grew more unsettling. One evening, while James was working late, Sarah decided to take a relaxing bath. As she soaked, she felt a sudden chill in the air. The bathroom door, which she had closed, creaked open slowly. Through the dim candlelight, she saw a shadowy figure reflected in the mirror. A woman dressed in old-fashioned attire, her eyes hollow and sorrowful. Paralyzed with fear, Sarah watched as the apparition slowly faded away. Terrified, Sarah confided in James, who remained skeptical but agreed to investigate. They visited the local pub, hoping to learn more about their home's history. The pub's owner, an elderly man named Mr. Thompson, listened intently as they recounted their experiences. With a heavy sigh, he revealed the cottage's dark past. In the late 1800s, the cottage was home to a young woman named Emily. Jilted by her lover and ostracized by the village for bearing a child out of wedlock, Emily faced relentless torment. In her despair, she took her own life and that of her infant within the cottage walls. Since then, villagers reported seeing her sorrowful spirit wandering the property, especially when new couples moved in. Armed with this knowledge, Sarah and James sought to appease Emily's restless spirit. They placed flowers in the attic, where Emily was believed to have spent her final moments, and spoke aloud, expressing their sympathy and desire to coexist peacefully. For a time, the disturbances ceased, and the couple felt a sense of relief. But this respite was short-lived. One stormy night, as lightning illuminated the sky, the couple was awakened by the sound of a baby crying, a sound that shouldn't have been possible in their childless home. The wailing grew louder, echoing through the halls, accompanied by the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Desperate, James contacted a local historian, Mrs. Whitaker, who had studied the village's spectral occurrences. She suggested that Emily's spirit might be seeking acknowledgement and justice for the wrongs she endured. Reluctantly, Sarah and James agreed to hold a séance, hoping to communicate with Emily and offer her the peace she sought. Mrs. Whitaker led the ritual, and as they sat around the table, candles flickering, the temperature in the room plummeted. A faint sobbing filled the air, and the silhouette of a woman appeared, her eyes filled with anguish. Through the séance, Emily's story unfolded. She revealed that her lover, a prominent man in the village, had betrayed her, leading to her tragic end. She sought not vengeance, but recognition of her suffering. Determined to help, Sarah and James delved into historical records, uncovering the identity of Emily's lover, a man whose descendants still resided in the village. They approached the family, sharing their findings and the experiences they had endured. Shocked and remorseful, the descendants agreed to hold a memorial service for Emily and her child, acknowledging the sins of their forebear. Following the service, the atmosphere in the cottage lightened. The oppressive heaviness lifted, and the paranormal disturbances ceased. Sarah and James felt a renewed sense of peace in their home. However, as they settled back into their routine, a new series of events began. Objects started moving again, but this time they were items that hadn't been disturbed before. The sound of footsteps returned, but they were heavier, more deliberate. One night, James awoke to find a shadowy figure standing at the foot of the bed. Not Emily, but a tall man with a menacing presence. Realizing that in uncovering Emily's story, they had also awakened the spirit of her tormentor, Sarah and James faced a new dilemma. The man, enraged by the exposure of his misdeeds, now haunted the cottage, seeking to silence those who had tarnished his name. The couple sought further assistance, but the malevolent spirit proved more challenging to appease. The once peaceful cottage became a battleground between the living and the dead, with Sarah and James caught in the middle. In their quest to bring peace to a wronged soul, they had inadvertently unleashed a greater evil, leaving them to wonder if some secrets are best left buried. The tale of Sarah and James serves as a haunting reminder that delving into the past can have unforeseen and perilous consequences. While their intentions were noble, the reality they uncovered brought forth a darkness that forever altered their lives. As we explore the unknown, we must tread carefully, for the shadows of history may conceal entities that are not ready to rest. In the early 1970s, the Perron family sought a fresh start, moving into a secluded farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The sprawling property, with its rustic charm and expansive grounds, seemed the perfect place for Roger and Carolyn Perron to raise their 5 daughters. However, the tranquility they sought was shattered by a series of inexplicable and terrifying events that would plague them for years. Almost immediately after settling in, the Perron family began to notice strange occurrences. It started subtly. Objects would go missing, only to reappear in odd places. Doors would creak open on their own, and peculiar noises echoed through the halls at night. The children spoke of unseen entities tugging at their bed sheets and whispering their names in the darkness. Carolyn, the matriarch, experienced the most direct confrontations. She would often wake with unexplained bruises and scratches on her body. The scent of rotting flesh would permeate certain rooms, and she reported feeling a constant, oppressive presence watching her every move. Desperate for answers, the Perrons delved into the history of their home. Research revealed that the farmhouse had a grim history. Built in the 18th century, it had been the site of numerous tragedies, including suicides, drownings, and violent deaths. One name stood out: Bathsheba Sherman. Legend held that Bathsheba was a witch who had lived on the property in the 1800s. Accused of sacrificing an infant in a satanic ritual, she was said to have cursed the land, vowing that all who lived there would suffer. As the hauntings grew more malevolent, the Perrons sought the assistance of renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Upon entering the farmhouse, Lorraine, a clairvoyant, immediately sensed a dark presence. She believed that Bathsheba's spirit had latched onto Carolyn, viewing her as a threat to her dominion over the house. The Warrens conducted several investigations, during which they witnessed objects levitating, heard disembodied voices, and felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Convinced of a demonic presence, they recommended performing a séance to communicate with the spirit and attempt to rid the house of its malevolence. One fateful night, the Warrens, along with a priest and a few close friends, gathered in the dimly lit living room to perform the séance. As they began, the atmosphere grew heavy and the temperature plummeted. Carolyn sat at the center, holding hands with Lorraine and the priest. As the ritual progressed, Carolyn's demeanor changed. She spoke in a guttural voice, uttering threats and curses, her face contorted in pain. Suddenly, she was lifted from her chair and thrown across the room with an unseen force. The others rushed to her aid, but the entity's wrath was not easily subdued. Furniture toppled, windows shattered, and a cacophony of voices filled the air. After what felt like an eternity, the chaos ceased, leaving the participants shaken and the house eerily silent. Following the séance, the intensity of the hauntings decreased but did not cease entirely. The Perron family continued to experience paranormal activity, though less violent than before. After enduring nearly a decade of fear and uncertainty, they moved out of the farmhouse, leaving behind the dark memories that had overshadowed their lives. Years later, the Perrons' harrowing experiences became the basis for the 2013 horror film The Conjuring, bringing their story to a wider audience and cementing the legend of the haunted farmhouse in Harrisville. Decades after the Perrons had left, a new family moved into the old farmhouse, unaware of its sinister past. Initially, they experienced the same subtle disturbances: misplaced objects, cold drafts, and distant whispers. However, one day, while renovating the basement, they uncovered a hidden room sealed behind a brick wall. Inside, they found archaic symbols etched into the floor, remnants of candles, and a dusty journal. The journal belonged to Bathsheba Sherman. Its pages detailed dark rituals and a chilling confession. She had sacrificed her own child to gain eternal life, binding her spirit to the property. The curse she cast was not just on the land, but on any mother who dared to reside there, driven by her jealousy and rage. Realizing the gravity of their discovery, the new occupants sought the help of modern paranormal experts. Together, they performed a cleansing ritual, hoping to break Bathsheba's curse once and for all. As they chanted, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the house, and a shadowy figure materialized before dissipating into nothingness. Since that day, the farmhouse has remained peaceful, but the chilling events that transpired there serve as a haunting reminder of the darkness that once resided within its walls. The tale of the Perron family and the haunted farmhouse in Harrisville underscores the profound impact of a location's history on its present. It serves as a stark reminder that some places carry the weight of past sins, and those who tread upon such grounds may find themselves entangled in a web of supernatural retribution. As we explore the unknown, we must remain vigilant, for the echoes of history may reach out from the shadows, ensnaring the unsuspecting in their spectral grasp. Some stories are meant to be told, while others remain buried in the shadows. From the terrifying entity in Brownsville Road to the restless spirit of Emily's cottage and the horrifying curse of the Harrisville farmhouse, these real-life encounters remind us that the past never truly fades. It lingers, waiting to be noticed. If these stories sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow horror lovers, and let us know in the comments which story haunted you the most. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a terrifying tale. Who knows, the next story could be closer than you think. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the things we fear in the dark are very, very real. See you in the next one.